period of play here. Division III women's ice hockey between the Elmira College Soaring Eagles visiting the Salve Regina Seahawks. We're here at Middletown, Rhode Island at the Howard Rink. 3-0 for the Seahawks as they step into this third period of play here. And we'll have to see if Elmira can get anything going and get up on the board. Some offensive zone pressure here from Gina Richard to start off the period, as it's a little bit of a puck battle on the wall there. Here comes Smith working that one up the wall. But it's McKenzie who's going to look to corral, not able to get it past Smith with a little kneel block in the neutral zone. She's going to fire into the slot. That one's not quite able to go, and a big blocker save there for Taylor Hannafin on the rebound.
Yeah, she just punched that one out of the net.
Great stop there, as it's Elmira who's going to control again. It's Schmidt with a backhand in front. That one's off the right pad of Hannafin, who has been solid all night. Doherty's going to control on the point here, as it's Boyle in front. She's able to rip one, and that one's off the stomach of Hannafin yet again, as she has stood tall for the Seahawks. Here's Doherty retreating back into her own zone to get this puck going up, and she tosses that one up there, looking for Lenzen, not quite able to corral it. And it's Lugie working over the blue line. Lugie's going to make a quick step past Dummin, fire a shot there, and another blocker save for Hannafin. Here comes Pereira. She's working it up the blue line, past the red line, and into the Elmira zone here. And they're going to battle in the corner. Wroblewski looking to corral, but that one's tossed out in front to Manning, who's going to push it up here. Here comes Elmira over the blue line. Lugie looking to make a quick move, not quite able to. Here comes Bryn Gardner here. She has Wroblewski, but there's a couple purple back checkers, and that one is swallowed up there by Emily Finich, as we have a goaltending change here for Elmira. First two periods were played by senior Leonie Kuberger, but they opt for senior Emily Finich in this third period here, as McBride's going to work it up. She is a 2-on-1. She's going to fire that one, and that one is a big arm save there for Hannafin, as they had a trailer on the rebound. Another shot here by O'Toole is going to be blocked away by Hannafin as well. Here's Dermody looking at corral for Salve and get this one out of the zone. She's able to, but not without the interruption of a purple shirt, as it's back in her zone quickly. Here's Drevich looking to push it up the wall, pressured by Goliniak, who's going to corral and toss it into the slot. That one's interrupted there by Pereira, but it's Toole here who's looking to corral. That one's punched out of the air there by Dermody, as she's going to work over the red line and into the Elmira zone. Conger's going to be pressured here, but she's able to dish that one off to her D partner, Audit, who's going to push it up here to Goliniak. Cutting into the zone here is Elmira, as they're going to look to fire one. That one is broken up there in the feet of Sarah Bush. And it's Salve coming back the other way here. This one's controlled behind the goal line by Elmira. Dished off to Gabby Doherty, who's going to look to control. She swings that one over to Smith, who's going to push it up to Schmidt here. Schmidt cutting in the zone on a bit of a 2-on-2. Salve has some back checkers. She's going to throw that one in front, looking for a rebound, but that one is properly sticked away there by Taylor Hannafin. And it's behind the goal line again now. Here's Sarah Bush looking to get a clean breakout. She's pressured there. Not quite able to push it up the way she wanted to. And it's Elmira back the other way. Bit of a backhand, but that one's going to go right through the goal mouth. And no go. Here's Smith behind the net looking to control. Salve a bit on their heels here, as there's a lot of noise from the white bench. And there's a shot there from Lugie that is sticked away by Hannafin. Here's Schmidt behind the net, looking to slow things down and control it, but obviously dump it around the other side here to Matson. She's going to walk around the net with some speed. She's met there by Sarah Bush, and Matson dished it off to the point. It's going to come back to her after a quick pass both ways from Lugie, but now Elmira has to slow it down back through the neutral zone. It's going to be Lugie walking over the blue line. She's all by herself, able to make a few skillful moves, and back into the slot. She was looking for Lenz in there, who's not quite able to corral. Shot on the point there from Waskalevich is not going to quite get through the Salve sticks. And Esposito is going to dump it in off her backhand. Fighting for it here is Manning. She has some help from Lenzen. But it's Esposito working below the goal line. Waskalevich is going to dump that one off the boards there, and that one's going to go up to Lugie. Lugie's looking to work through the neutral zone, but she's met by a few white shirts as Esposito dumps that one back in. Looks like Finich is going to help out her defense there a little bit. Dish it off to them off the backhand, but it's Salve with some offensive zone pressure, excuse me. Looking to corral it here is Manning as she works through the neutral zone. She's going to go over the Salve blue line, off to find another purple shirt as she does in front to Toole. And that one is just wide of the goal mouth, as Hannafin was able to stand tall yet again. Here's Wroblewski on the wall. She's looking to pressure Goliniak, who dumps it far into the Salve zone. Loud offsides call from the Stripes there, as it actually looks like it's not going to be. Here's a pass from Pereira. She's up to Wroblewski, who's going to just fire that one on net, potentially looking for a rebound. Now it's deep in the zone. Wroblewski with Bryn Gardner here. They're looking to help each other out, but it's Conger who comes out with the puck, and she's going to work it up the far boards. She actually decides to opt for behind her net and up the other side. She's going to look for a purple shirt, but that one's held in by Dermody. Conger again looking to corral it. She's going to have to dish it off to her D partner and push it up the ice here as Elmira breaks through the neutral zone.
And that's going to be an offsides call. Elmira just a little bit too excited to cross the blue line. And we'll see a face-off in the neutral zone.
Sunshine Clark looks to be your face-off taker for the Seahawks. It's the Salve's third forward unit. Up against Elmira's first. It's Compo on the face-off, and she's able to win that one back cleanly to Doherty. Doherty's going to look to step in the zone. That one's just the top of the circle, and a shot just goes barely wide to the right-hand side of Hannafin. And it's Clark looking to work it up. She has Dermody, who's going to push it over the red line. And it's a bit of a scrum here in front of the penalty box. Back into the Elmira zone, slowing it down a little bit is Dory as she looks to throw it up to Boyle, who's going to dump it deep in the zone here. McCullough retreats into her own zone to collect it. Doesn't quite get the hand on it she wants, but it might have worked out better for her as Schmidt went skating the other direction. Here's Smith, who's looking to push it up here. She has Schmidt, who makes a quick move. Schmidt looking to go back to her forehand, but that one's interrupted there by Pacala. Thrown in front and off the stick of Hannafin as it's trickling in the slot there, but Pacala's able to come out with it. She's a bit labored coming through the neutral zone as she opts to dump it in and get a change with just over 13 minutes left in the third period. Working it back in their own zone is Elmira. It's going to be Matson looking for it in the neutral zone. Able to corral is Elmira. That one's Lugie. She's going to throw it over here to Waskalevich. But it's Gina Richard who comes up with it. She's fast over the opposing blue line. Doesn't have any white shirts with her, but she's looking for some help as there's about 4 on her. She's going to opt to push that one below the goal line. Over to Bryn Gardner she goes. And big body contact on the wall there. Looks like Ashton Bryn Gardner took a bit of a body check from a purple shirt on the wall. Bit of retaliation from her as the Stripes are going to call it for a slash. And we'll have our first Elmira power play in a little while here.
Yeah, and this one's big for Elmira. Like you said, just under 13 minutes to play and trailing 3. Looks to be an now or never situation to get the scoring started.
We'll have to see if they can capitalize here as they are going to send out Barber as their face-off taker. That one's won back cleanly to Manning here. Dished over to Smith as they look up to set up in the offensive zone here. Goliniak on the point. She dishes that one over to Manning. Back to Goliniak. Goliniak's up the top of the circle. Opts to go below to Smith, who's going to throw it in front off the pad of Hannafin. And it was Elmira looking for a rebound. Schwartzman not quite able to do it. Here's Sunshine Clark with a big dump out of the neutral zone as she's going to opt to get off the ice. Pretty tired. Corralled behind the net here by Finich. As that one's dished off to Smith. Smith through the neutral zone with some speed. She might opt to go by herself. Little toe drag move to get past Bacala, but not quite able to go past Drummond as well. Here's Parrots on the wall. She's looking to pressure the point, but it's Smith who comes up with it. The Salve opts to step back up. Active sticks is the call from the bench from David Lund, as he's been pretty vocal on this penalty kill here, a crucial one for the Seahawks to stay up and leave Elmira scoreless. Bit of pressure on the wall here as Schmidt's going to corral it up top. That one's blocked there by Simcox, but thrown back in front to Schmidt, and it's off her stick. She's going to look to glove it down there. And it's behind the goal line again. Back in front.
Good job staying tight on that post.
And it's back in front again but it's going to trickle out of the goal mouth and all the way back to the Elmira blue line.
And 24 seconds left on the power play. Elmira, a lot of pressure so far.
Here comes Sophie Gregory, a defenseman here on the forecheck. She's played with fire all night. And that one's going to go back up to the Elmira point. It's Doherty who's going to corral. Bit of a half slap shot there as that one bounces off the chest of Taylor Hannafin for another good save. Here comes Esposito coming the other way. Even is what David Lunn is shouting from the Salve bench here as his team is back to 5-on-5.
Yeah, and good communication from the coach, letting his team know exactly what's going on.
Been a lot of communication from a very vocal coach in David Lunn, who has been a trusted bench boss for this Salve Regina Seahawks women's ice hockey team all year. Back in their own zone, it's Lugie. She's going to look to corral, dish that one over to Sophia Gregory. She's looking for Lugie again there, who's going to be able to dish it into his zone. Here's Toole, Elmira's captain, looking to give them a spark. She pressures Drevich behind the net. Drevich seems to be tripped up behind the net, and Salve Regina is calling for a penalty, but the Stripes aren't going to agree. That one's off the end wall there and bounces up in front, almost looking like a rebound chance, but interrupted by Smith as it's back out of the Elmira zone. Maybe looking to slow it down here is Toole as she opts to throw it up the neutral zone. But it's back to Smith here. She controls as we have a purple shirt on the ice. It's McBride, who looks to be a little bit shaken up. Slow to get up here, but seems to be okay as we have a stoppage in play and a face-off coming to center ice. Nice to see that Mo McBride was able to get up.
Yeah, it looks like she just took a tough fall there. A lot of banging up on against the scorer's table.
A lot of physicality here tonight as that's where matchups are being won as Kincaid is dropped just over the center ice logo there. It's Taylor Sterling behind her own net. She's going to try and push that one past Lenzen. She's able to do so. And they're working past the red line now. Here's Morgan Parrott. She's going to try and push that one in the zone. Bit of displeasure from the Salve bench as that one went off a skate of a referee. But it's back for an icing as Salve gets some fresh legs for an offensive zone faceoff. It's going to be Salve's fourth forward unit coming onto the ice here.
Yeah, and they've been strong all day. Margaret Donahue, Shannon Kincaid, Fiona Simcox, looking like vets on offense and the defensive side of the ice.
Third defense unit as well for Salve as they're going with the bottom of their lineup. But they have been good from top to bottom all night tonight. Bit of a battle here on the wall as Elmira is going to come out with it. Looks like Audit trying to push it up the neutral zone. She has some help from Lenz in there. One of Elmira's alternate captains is going to push it deep in the zone. Pakala is going to look to control that one and dish it off to her defense partner, Grace Drummond, who opts for a little bounce off the wall there. And now it's deep into the Elmira zone. Salve has a forechecker here. Looks to be Dermody. Not going to do much as Elmira is able to get a pretty much clean breakout and try and push it into the offensive zone. Coming the other way now over the blue line is Pereira. She's looking to push that one through. Not going to go through an Elmira skate. And it's Boyle coming the other way. She's going to dump that one into the zone. Elmira forechecker here working hard. It's Mackenzie Schmidt. And that one's up to the point here. It's going to be Conger. Conger's going to throw that one towards the goal mouth, and that one is sticked away gracefully by Emma Pereira. Salve looking to get some fresh legs, as they do. But it's quickly Elmira back through the zone. However, that one's going to be broken up by Wroblewski and dished off to Esposito in order to get it deep in the zone. Elmira working this one from deep in their defensive zone, looking to get a clean breakout here, as that's been rare all night. But off the stick of Wroblewski, she's not quite able to corral. And it is Emily Finich.
Yeah, and Salve, up 3 in the tail part of this game, still putting a lot of pressure on, even when they don't have the puck, really showing pressure, which is a bit surprising, but hey, seems to be working so far.
Not quite how I would say this game was going to go after the first half of that first period here.
Yeah.
But
it was all Elmira for the first 10 minutes.
Looks like Salve has been able to hold their own so far and get the right chances here. Get some good stops here on the back end from Hannafin. It's Bryn Garner working it up the wall. It's going to be two that lose their feet there, one white, one purple, as Reese Pereira is going to work it over the Elmira blue line. Behind the net, she works with some purple shirts there, but it comes out on the stick of Smith, and she's going to dish that one up to Galeniak. Galeniak into the zone with some speed. She tries to go to the backhand in the slot, not quite able to as that one's broken up by Salve. But it's Smith again here. She's going to dish this one off to Manning. Manning not quite able to corral on her backhand, but able to dish it off to the front, but blocked up by the skate of Pacala. And it's McBride behind the net. She was looking to throw that one back up onto the point, keep some sustained pressure and stop Salve from getting fresh legs, but not quite able to, as Salve is going to go for a change. Bit of a diving play there from a purple shirt, stay on sides, and they're able to, but not much going to come of it as Salve controls back in their own end. Kincaid looking to control a pass, but unfortunately not able to, as it's back behind the Salve goal line now, controlled by Pacala. She's going to throw that one off the high boards. A little bit too much there for Parrots, as she's met at the point by Annie Audit. And there's a backhand chance in front there. Looked like Anna Lugie with a quick backhand chance. That one's off the pad and stick of Taylor Hannafin. Sarah Waskalevich back in her own zone. Looking to work that one up the wall. Has a couple of her teammates there who are going to push it up. But it's back to Audit here. Back to Waskalevich, right where it started. Back to Audit here as they look for a clean breakout. She's going to push that one up the wall there to Lugie. She's had the puck on her stick quite a bit tonight as she's going to work over the top of the circles here, but interrupted by a few Salve Regina sticks. And it's Sarah Bush who comes out with it. Defenseman working it through the neutral zone here. She's going to look to stay on sides, is able to, as Dermody's going to throw a flimsy backhand on the net as she didn't quite get what she wanted to on that one. And it's into the glove of Emily Finich. Emily Finich, her first period of the night, 5'7" senior from Hamburg, New York. Here to replace Leonie Kuberger, who in her own right had an amazing game to start the first two periods. A lot of pressure from Salve, but likely a coaching decision maybe to help their starter Kuberger get out of her own head and maybe get the next game. Here's Elmira behind the net. They're going to try and dish it off in front with a sneaky backhand, but that one's not quite going to go. Conger's going to glove that one down. As David Lund's talking a little bit to the Stripes here. They're not quite listening. And it's Elmira here. They're going to try and throw it through the goal mouth. It's Schmidt who's going to control this in the corner. Up on the point to Conger. And that one slapped on net there, just wide of Hannafin on a shot from Doherty. Back up on the point here. It's Boyle who's going to try and fire a shot from the side, but that one's casually gloved by Taylor Hannafin.
Yeah, through the traffic, Hannafin makes it.
She's seen a lot of that tonight, as this Elmira team is not a small team by any stretch of the imagination. You know, they have had bodies in front all night.
They're big, they're physical, you know, and they want to, try and frustrate this freshman goalie, but it's been to no avail. And no keeper for Elmira, so an open net opportunity for Salve.
Looks like Elmira is going to opt to pull their goalie quite early in this third period, as we just have just under 4.5 left. But they need a spark if they're going to be down 3. Likely see a little bit more physicality in the neutral zone, as Elmira is going to make sure Salve doesn't get a clean shot at that open net. But they might not quite be able to the way they want to. We'll have to wait and see here as they're working it through the neutral zone. It's Goleniak stepping over the blue line. She dished that one in front to Lenzen. Big save there.
No goal.
Hannafin looks to be a high sticking on the rebound after the blocker save from Hannafin to keep her shutout alive tonight. She has been good all night, and that was a clear high stick, as the stick of Lenzen went just over the crossbar there and was unable to knock it down. Stripes are going to talk near center ice.
Yeah, a bit of a no-brainer there for the referee who's right there.
Here comes one of the referees here to explain this one to Elmira's bench boss, head coach Greg Haney.
And Haney was making his case saying she's short, that's why. But doesn't quite work out. Wow, and almost an own goal on the backwards pass.
They're looking to slow it up a little bit here, but Almost too deep into their own defensive zone there was the pass from Lenzen. Back around their own wall here. Almira's going to need to get this one out quickly as there's a couple white shirts here in the offensive zone. They're able to get it up to Lenzen. She's going to dish that one off in front here. It's Goliniak. She's going to make a quick move here. Work to her backhand, but not quite able to get what she wanted on as that one went wide to the left of Taylor Hannafin. Lenzen with another tip opportunity in front. Lenzen, the same player that shot that high sticking goal. She's been good on redirecting so far late in this third period. And it's Barber here in front. She fires that one a bit high, just wide of the glove side there of Taylor Hannafin. It's going to be their captain now working behind the net. It's Toole. Lots of offensive pressure here as they're up 6-on-5. But do not neglect that empty net back there as Emily Wroblewski's going to look to corral and maybe take a fire at it. Not quite able to, as it's going to be Schmidt working into the zone. She's going to backhand that one in front. Not quite enough on it here as Elmira is going to retreat. That one's going to be an icing call for the Seahawks. Although they're down a man, it is not a penalty kill for them. And they cannot shoot the puck down there if they want to get their legs changed.
And that's going to be a Salve timeout as head coach David Lunn wants the chance to talk to his team and get things under control with 2 minutes and change left to play.
High energy guy, David Lunn has been on this bench for the Seahawks thus far this year. Demands a lot of his players, as you can see the serious tempo from him as he's drawn up a few plays on this whiteboard here, trying to cut through some of the noise and show his team exactly what they need to do to close out this 3-0 lead. Just under 3 minutes left here in our third period. Going to have to be close to a goal a minute here for Elmira if they want to send this one to some extra time frames, but we will have to wait and see. Looks like a lot of attentiveness from both sets of players here as they look up at their head coaches, looking to get a spark in their respective directions, whether trying to close this game out or make something of it and break Taylor Hannafin's shutout here.
Yeah, you know, Elmira's been getting close, you know, getting good looks. A lot of body saves by the Salve defenders. Done a good job of, you know, keeping it away from Hannafin as much as possible.
You're definitely right there. Definitely probably a stark difference between shot attempts and shots on net for the Elmira Soaring Eagles, as tonight Salve has stood tall on defense. Not only their goaltender, but their defensemen too have been blocking shots all night. Here's a defensive zone face-off here for the Seahawks, as Gina Richard's going to try to work this one over her own blue line, but she's pressured there. And it's Elmira looking to corral back in their own zone. It's Schmidt. She's going to take a little dipsy-doodle past Richard there, but she's broken up by Esposito, trying to enter the zone there on the blue line. It's Matson who's going to dump that one into the zone. Sterling's going to look to corral that one. Not quite able to do so. Esposito looks to take a shot down the ice at that empty net, but that one's saved by the legs of Doherty, as Lugi's going to be able to work into the zone. Waskalevich trying to put a shot on net as that one went through a few skates and almost to the back door for a tip-in by Schmidt, but she's going to have to corral it over the top of the circles. That one backhanded in front lightly, and another rebound chance. Looks like
huge
two of
save.
them. And a big leg pad save there for Taylor Hannafin. As that one's dished over to her back door, but she's going to stand tall once again, and Salve Regina's bench is all on their feet. As Taylor Hannafin ends up on her back, missing a glove. And it looks like Waskalevich may have ran into her there. It was either Waskalevich or Anna Lugi. And the Salve defenders are not happy about that.
Yeah, you know, that was a big hit after the whistle on the Hannafin. You know, not happy about that one.
Looks like some solidarity here from the white shirts as they all stand around Hannafin, making sure she's all right before they start their next play.
Yeah, give her a second to breathe, too. So, under 2 minutes to play. And we'll see a face-off in the neutral zone.
Closer to Salve's blue line here, which is definitely to the liking of the Elmira College team with their empty net. Bryn Garner's looking to push this one over the center ice logo, but it's quickly back into the zone. That's Lenzen with a firing shot. That one would have been top corner if not for the blocker of Hannafin. And it's kicked back out again by the Seahawks. This one's going to be another icing as this minute and 34 we have remaining in the third period. may go a little bit slowly here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a long 5 minutes left of the game.
It'd be nice if Salve could get a few icings here without a call, but that's not how it works when your goalie's pulled. It's going to be 6 purple shirts against 5 here. And Salve's going to look to hold him. Here's Smith on the point. She's going to opt to dish that one down to the corner. It's going to come back to her as she dishes that one over to Goliniak. Goliniak might fire one. She does, and that one's off the top of the stick of Hannafin. Would have been wide regardless. Another rebound chance there, and they score. That one's going to be Elmira's captain, Elena O'Toole, in front as they put a ton of pressure on the Seahawks within this past few minutes here with their empty net and are able to get something on the board to break the shutout of Taylor Hannafin.
A bit due for that, a lot of shots the last couple minutes for Elmira. A great job by Hannafin stopping as many as possible, but still a minute 19 to play.
And it's going to be a timeout here for the Elmira College Soaring Eagles. Greg Haney, Cortland State alum in his second season, looking to fire up his guys. See if they can maybe pot 2 more. I've seen crazier things, so we'll have to wait and see as we have a minute 19 left in this last frame.
Never over till it's over.
Certainly, that last buzzer will be our final minute of play, but Elmira College still very much alive. They still opt to send out 6 skaters again for this last minute 19, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Sal, they're real close to getting that empty net goal, which would for sure put this game away.
We'll have to wait and see if they're able to pot one on a hopeful Elmira team after their first goal of the game. Still lots of energy and smiles coming from the Seahawk bench as they're waiting to close this one out. And Hannafin seems locked in, heading back to her cage, as she has been solid all night for the Seahawks. Looks like a bit of a shake-up here for Salve's forward lines. We have Sunshine Clark as your draw taker. Yeah, she's matched up with a few new wingers.
Like we've been talking about, had a lot of the third, fourth lines, a lot of playing time this game, and that just shows the faith their coach has in them.
Certainly a lot of physicality, especially in those bottom 2 units, although they're young, but been able to stand tall so far tonight. Waskalevich looking to throw that one in front, but that one's almost corralled there by Kincaid, but Smith's going to be
just under a minute to play.
Here's Smith. She's going to dish that one off to Schmidt. But we got a whistle here. That one's going to be called offside. And the Stripes are going to take them out just beyond the Salve blue line here for a neutral zone faceoff.
Yeah, and if Salve can find a way to keep possession for a little bit, get it out of their zone, that could put this away.
Toole, captain for Elmira on the faceoff draw here against
Captain
Esposito.
versus captain.
And it's going to be Elmira who wins that one back. Heavy forecheck from Gina Richard, one of the fastest forwards on this Salve Regina team. But she is skillfully evaded here by Smith. She's going to dish that one off to Toole, your goal scorer tonight, who's going to fire that one in front. That one's sticked up and into the upper netting here by a Salve Regina defender.
So about 34 seconds left to play. And we'll see a face-off in Salve's defensive zone.
Same draw takers here as Esposito is able to win that one back. Not quite to her defense partner the way she wanted to as Schmidt was able to throw that one in front, but Smith's going to corral on the point.
And the goalie lost her glove. Hannafin without a glove or a stick. And we're going to call time real quick to let her put the glove back on.
Lots of noise from the Salve benches. They made sure to
they saw it real quick.
Know about that one. Defensive zone faceoff for the Seahawks, the glove hand side of Hannafin here. That one's going to be one back by Elmira, but not quite controlled. And it's Richard again on the forecheck. Here comes Smith. She's coming through the neutral zone, but that one's broken up.
Esposito has it.
Esposito. And that one's off the post there, the left-hand side post for Esposito.
And that's unfortunate. Wide open, just misses.
Would have been a poetic ending for the Seahawks to have their captain score an empty net goal, but nonetheless, it's a 3-1 victory here for the Seahawks against a towering conference matchup against the Elmira College Soaring Eagles, who have been amazing in their own right so far this season. Dropped to 8-2-1 in NEHC play. And Salve is very, very pleased by their freshman goaltender.
And rightfully so. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with an interview from Taylor Hannafan. Thanks for joining the stream so far.
See you later, folks.